Hello and welcome to the Everything is Fine, Nothing is Ruined podcast. My name is Matthias. I am from Helsinki, Finland, and I am a social historian about Finland. That's our topic for today is Finland. That's why they brought me on. And of course, joining me, regular host Tristan. Thank you so much for having me.
Hi, Matthias. Welcome to the show. Did somebody tell you this was about Finland?
Yes, your other host Hassan told me you wanted to talk about Finland.
Okay. Well, while you're here, maybe give us a little bit of a breakdown about what Finland's all about. What's it like living in Finland?
It's a wonderful place to live. Obviously, we have some harsh winters, but as a people, we are a very determined people.
I've heard that.
We help each other.
Yes.
We have good social benefits. Fantastic
right
place to live. I'm very happy you chose to make our country your topic.
Well, that sounds like a great place to live. Oh, did you meet Eugene Levy when he was there shooting his documentary about Finland?
No, we are. There's a big country.
I know, but just saying.
Of the people.
Yeah, just wondering if you. Okay, yeah, fair enough. Well, hey, I mean, Finland's great. A big rally fan, so
Oh yeah, that's good to know.
Go Cali. But unfortunately, you may have been told the wrong thing. We're not here to talk about Finland.
What?
We're talking about Vinland.
No, you're saying it wrong. Finland. Are you perhaps German? You get the F's and the V's mixed up?
No.
That's Finland.
No, this is kind of more of a Danish, Icelandic word. Vinland.
Oh, the Danish.
Yeah, sorry, buddy. I know.
They're ugly and stupid.
Ew, well, I wouldn't go that far, but they're kind of stuck their own ass. I know. It's not like you really cool Finland people, so you know.
Ugh. I cannot, if you are going to talk about that disgusting place, I cannot be on your podcast. You need to find another host.
Sorry, Denmark is kind of part of the podcast topic today. Sorry, bud.
All right. Well, I'm done here. Farewell forever. I will never come back to anywhere that wants to be associated with Denmark.
Well, I mean, okay, fine. Well, you have a lovely day, Matthias.
Thank you, you too.
Thank you.
Oh, hey, Tristan. Wow, I see. Matthias, did you guys already finish up?
No, every time you do this. Every time.
Do what?
You told you got a guest on who, lovely person, Matthias, was from Finland. The topic is not about Finland.
You said we were talking about Vinland Saga.
No, Vinland Saga. Listen to the V, Vinland Saga.
Sorry, are you saying the French word for wine? You want to talk about wine? Are we talking about the Bordeaux region?
No, we're not.
Champagne?
No, well, France kind of... No, not really, though. What do you know about the medieval ages? Specifically the Dark Ages.
Dark Ages, I think, ran from the 800 to around 1200, roughly, I think.
Close. It's 500 to 12. It's 500 to 1100. Yeah, roughly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Not what people think it is. Everybody assumes it's called the Dark Ages because it was a terrible time to live in, and that everyone was living in squalor and disease. It's called the Dark Ages because we actually just lost a lot of written history from it.
Yep, that's quite true. A lot of it is passed down through oral history and then recorded later on. You are absolutely correct. A lot of it is just like that way. So when we discuss history in this show, because we will be, a grain of salt needs to be applied. Because a lot of it is true and a lot of it is speculation through manuscripts and that sort of stuff.
So, I've seen Arthur and the Knights of Justice. I'm well aware of how the history, it doesn't quite go how you think it does.
No, this is true. So, like I said, we're not here to discuss Finland, that wonderful country, very socialist, very much into community and rally and having fun, but in a very, conservative way. Nobody must know that you are having fun. Is my experience with Finnish people. That tends to be my experience with Finnish people, or so they've told me. But again, we're here to talk about Vinland Saga. Specifically, we're talking about the first 2 seasons of the anime that came out, and not the manga. The manga is great on its own. I just haven't gotten a chance to read through all of it. It's still going on, so there's that. What do you know about Vinland Saga, Hassan?
I read the first issue of the manga and went, I don't know about this, and that's it.
Okay, fair enough. Well, I would say read on, good sir, read on. Because, at least in terms of the anime, this show hits so hard. The things I've noticed with Vinland Saga with season 1 at the very least is that it is sort of set up almost like a Shakespearean play. Now, that is typically something that could turn some people off. However, this card. So, fun fact, I'm a poetry major. I read a lot of Shakespeare. I read a lot of poetry. This will come up in this episode.
It's not a real profession. Get out of here.
Shut up, Hassan. You can't tell me
wrong.
Spending $30,000 to become a poetry major was a bad idea.
It definitely was.
Shut up, Hassan. Yes. Yeah,
Poetry does not pay.
Yeah, you don't say. But neither here nor there. Poetry is amazing, and Shakespeare is also really good. This may have some connections to Shakespearean play in a way, but I digress. So season 1, just kind of running some of the characters. We have your main character, Thorfinn. Get ready to use the suffix Thor, because that is everywhere in the show. So once you wrap your head around the fact that everybody is basically named some version of Thor, not everybody, but a lot of people, you will quickly understand the differences between these characters, and you'll kind of there's just a certain way, not a pronunciation way, but a certain way of the prefix of the name kind of lets you know, okay, who this is. So yeah, there's Thorfinn, his father Thors, and then his mother Helga, and his sister Ylva. And they are Icelandic.
I got nothing to say about Iceland. It's kind of a forgettable country.
Yeah, a little bit. They do the what's the thing called, the rotten shark thing. Surströmming, yes. And in Iceland at this time, it was 1013 AD roughly. I think technically we're calling it CE now, so 80 and CE.
What? Are we abandoning J-Town?
We've long since abandoned J-Town, yes.
Damn.
Yeah.
No wonder society's falling apart.
No wonder, man. I mean, 80 never was spelled for after death. It was Anno Domini anyway, so which means Year of the Lord, I believe. So
see, we need more J-Town.
Yeah. We need more J-Town in our lives. So one quick thing I want to go on, because as somebody who studied this stuff as well, because my major was poetry, I minored in writing, but on the side I was also doing a lot of historical study, especially into medieval and Dark Ages stuff. So that was more so just for my own personal usage and my own enjoyment. And one of the things I really enjoyed researching, especially at the time, back in the day, even now, was the arms and armor used back then. And I have to say that this show / manga gets it right. Now, the fighting styles may be a little weird. It's a show. It's meant to be a little flashier. which is fine. But the fact of the matter is, there's not a lot of armor going around. When somebody has like a like actual like breastplate on, it's like, oh shit, that person's hard to kill. Because like they know their shit, because they have like this covered, so that person's not going to go down super easily. Great. But then like everybody else is wearing like, you know, padded armor, like basically a gambeson, and then like kind of just a jerkin on top and a belt, and then they'll have like a helmet. The one thing you do see, which is interesting in the show, is helmets everywhere, which is hilarious because like fantasy stuff, you typically want to have like in a fantasy world the face uncovered so you can see your character or the actor or whatever. You can look at the D&D movie, and there's like nobody wearing a fucking helmet except for in 2 scenes.
Wait, which D&D movie?
The latest one.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I would use either D&D movie as a historical reference.
No.
I like that new one though.
Yeah, it's good. It's a good movie. I'm just saying that, like in fantasy stuff, even though fantasy is a lot of like fantasy is based off of medieval, stylings and Renaissance stylings, nobody wears a helmet, and if just because you're wearing a helmet, you can't see the face and all this stuff. Especially in RPGs, you want to see your face because you worked so hard on it, kind of thing. Whereas in actuality, the first piece of armor any soldier wore or could afford was usually a helmet. The gambeson was typically the gambeson first, but the gambeson was hard to justify as a piece of armor at the time. You know, still worked against like being cut. You could see you basically could like cut across a gambeson with a sword and no problem. But any sort of like actual blow to a limb, you're losing it. Helmet though, great piece of armor. So I gotta say, they do this right here. So what the show does though, beyond being a really good representation of the history that is happening here in like the Norse myth, and then not even mythology, in the actual Norse historical context, as well as the European historical context. Like I said, it's a good story about revenge in season 1. And just quickly, so the idea is Askeladd is a bad guy who's been hired to kill Thorfinn's father. Thorfinn is 6 years old, roughly. Thor's does not want to go to war. He is asked to go to war by the king, King Sweyn. And his old crew, the Jomsvikings, show up and are like, hey man, you gotta join us and go to war. He's like, I'm not gonna join you guys, but I will go to war if it means sparing everybody else. I'll take a small band and we'll join up with you guys. And the implication is that, hey, we're not actually gonna go to war. I'm gonna trick them. And then like, once us and Leif Erikson, who is in the show, sail off to Denmark and get there, we're going to get to Norway first and kind of stop in for some supplies. And once we're there, though, the crew is going to jump onto Leif's boat, and I'm going to sail on to Denmark and go fight that war, I guess, because they need somebody. And they want me specifically, so whatever. But Askeladd's hard to kill this guy. And it's like Thor's is regarded as the best of the Jomsvikings some years ago. And is still regarded as really fucking dangerous. So when they ambush them, they kind of like box them into a canyon and like fill the river up with junk so they can't escape it the back way, the way they came in. And the village they're going to has been decimated and raided because Askeladd is a raider. They basically are trying to shoot arrows upon Thor's and kill him, and his crew really wants to get into the fight because like, okay, let's go, we're raiders now, we're Vikings, we're soldiers, let's go. And Thor's like, no, hold on, I'm gonna go parlay first. So he leaps from his boat, it's like a 40-foot leap to the next boat.
Historically accurate, you know?
Historically accurate. This is still an anime. I have to point this out. Even though this historical context is still there, and they do a great job of that stuff, There are
Well,
still...
yeah, but it's an anime that they uncovered from, like 1,200 years ago, right? They dug it up.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, exactly. Thank you. Yeah. Makoto Yukimura wrote this back in like 1022 AD.
Yeah.
Yeah. But he was really into the Vikings. They were even still around at that time. But, it's like, yeah, I really want to tell this story. Yeah. There is still some anime stuff in this. When the fights happen in this show, they are anime as hell, let's say. Which I really like in Season 1. They do away with that stuff in Season 2.
Yeah, because real fights are boring as heck. I forget which I'm going to say YouTube channel did this, but there's a really good video out there of actual war historian just analyzing movies, and every single movie is like, no, this is stupid and fake. You want to know how almost every battle in the history of man has gone? It's you dig a trench, you put a wall behind that trench. You know what you do next? Dig another trench, put a wall behind it. He's like, that's basically every battle went until gun showed up. And even a lot of gun battles went that way. And guess what? It was boring and took days for any battle. And I was like, yeah, makes sense.
You're referring to either Matt Eastman or Lindy Beige. So
I have no idea.
One of the two.
I don't remember, but there's a really good video of just a guy constantly getting irritated. He's like, no, like war is boring, actually.
Yeah. Both of those guys have the same opinion in those cases. Anyway, so yeah, in actuality, this would take a long time, but this is a 23-minute long show. We gotta move on. So like Thors goes across the other boat, and they kind of start fighting him. He wants to parlay first, which he does, and they're like, "We're gonna kill you." He's like, "Well, let everybody else go." And they're like, "No, can do. We want to raid your ship because we want to. So fuck you." So Thor's like, "Okay, well, let's fight then." And like, "Oh, okay, well, like you versus our best guy, Bjorn over here." I was like, "No, Bjorn's not your best guy. Bjorn's a fucking like psychopath who's on drugs right now. Like, I just saw him snort berserker powder." So like, instead, you're captain versus me. I'm a captain, you're a captain. Like, let's go. And Askeladd, the captain, he's like, "Wrong choice, man!" And like, he's gonna start battling with a sword. Thor's ruins him with his bare fists because
somehow I don't think they're gonna honor the fight.
No,
Thor's still gonna
immediately
die.
They start shooting upon the other boat. Thorfinn, who had stowed away on the ship because he's again 6, not at fighting age, sees this happening, and his dad dies in front of him, and the only thing he can do is freak out and cry because he's a 6-year-old boy. And then he stows away onto Askeladd's ship and vows revenge with his iron child will.
Yeah, the strong will of a 6-year-old.
He's a very strong-willed boy. Anyway, there's a point where he could have killed Askeladd in his sleep, which he almost does. He's right there. He's a sword to Askeladd's throat, and he's like going to do it. And Askeladd wakes up. He's like, "What are you waiting for? Do it, because I killed your dad. Fucking do it, man."
Yeah, do it, dipshit.
And Thorfinn doesn't do it because Thorfinn has in his mind, no, my dad would want me to fight you honorably and take you down correctly. I have to do this his way. Because Thorfinn thinks his father would honor this duel kind of thing.
Yeah, his dad would. That's why his dad is dead. You read history, the thing it tells you is that cheaters always win.
No,
the nefarious guy is gonna win.
Yeah, exactly. But the reason why his dad actually dies, we're going to discuss a little later when we discuss season 2. So all this goes down. Thorfinn can't kill Askeladd, but so instead what he does is joins Askeladd's crew of raiders and marauders and mercenaries, and for like 11 fucking years basically goes around, and his reward if he goes and does the things that they want him to do is one day he's going to fight Askeladd in a duel, and he's fought a couple of duels here or there, and Thorfinn's just getting a little better, a little better, a little better, a little better, and Askeladd's getting a little older, a little older.
Yeah, that's what about. By this point, Askeladd's basically going to be a senior.
Yeah. So Askeladd's like, at this point, I think at the point where we catch up to like the time skip, Askeladd's like, I think in his 30s.
He's practically dead for that era.
Yeah. Eventually, we get like a really fucking cool fight where like, so we're in England now. That's the main thing. We're in England because Askeladd gets joined up with Sweyn's army. Sweyn is the king of Denmark. And Sweyn really wants England. Really fucking wants England so bad. The Romans dropped the ball, and he's got a chance to take it, damn it! And he will take it. That's historically correct, so yeah. So Sweyn, Askeladd joins up with Sweyn and goes to England on his campaign. And his main thing is that he's there to join up with Prince Canute. Another historical figure, actually. So, he gets to London, essentially. It's not called London at the time, but it's where London will grow up from. And they get to a bridge, which is being guarded by a former Viking called Thorkel. Now, Thorkel is probably the epitome of what a Viking would be if somebody thought of a Viking. Dude's like 7 feet tall, made entirely of like stony muscle, big beard, wild hair, doesn't give a shit about anything, but also very smart. And he hurls logs with his bare hands.
Yeah, and historically accurate,
So accurate. Well, okay, look, to be fair, caber toss is a thing, but not the way this guy's doing, where you just take the log.
That's a dumb sport. They weren't like going into battle caber
tossing.
No,
they would never do that. No, caber toss was a sport just to kind of like see who in the village was the strongest one in Scottish, like Gaelic villages. That's what caber toss was. What else
were they supposed to do? Mourn their like 7 dead children?
Yeah, right. I mean, that's like
so almost like, is not succeeding.
No, Askeladd takes Prince Canute and fucks off into Wales. Which is, an interesting. I can only assume you've been to Wales, Hassan.
No, I mean maybe as a baby, but definitely not as an adult or like a child.
Yeah, when I was in England for a little bit, like we toured all around like the country as much as we possibly could. We didn't get to like the total north end of England, but we mostly got to Wales, and like, yeah, that countryside is rocky as hell. Like, yeah. So
you just say boring.
I kind of like it. Boring maybe to some
point.
It.
You're just shagging sheeps.
I mean, I'm from Cape Breton, so I mean, like.
Okay, yeah, no.
We have kind of the same history.
Good flag, though.
Good flag.
Got like a flag with a dragon on it.
Yeah, exactly. I also like. You know what? Welsh names? Yeah, I appreciate that they're just kind of doing their own thing. Like street names and stuff. That long.
I thought you were talking about like Llewellyn. I was like, I mean, yeah.
Llewellyn's a good name too.
Double L thing.
Yeah, hell yeah.
It's weird, but.
Oh, to this point, I should point out that Askeladd is spelled with 2 Ds.
That's just redundant. You don't need 2 Ds.
Oh, really?
I'm just,
So Askeladd's actually from Wales.
Second D.
So Askeladd's actually from Wales.
Okay. Well, all right. Then that explains the double letter.
So he's from Wales. He's Welsh. His parents are Welsh English, and his mother was kidnapped by Norse by people from Danish people, and held as a slave. While he was born, and then she died during slavery.
Wow, see, white people... No, I'm not going to make that joke.
I mean... Yeah. Yeah, there's a history of... Like, slavery wasn't just... slavery was everywhere. Everybody was a slave. It's worse. It's the worst thing. It's absolutely the worst thing. And this show goes into how bad it is. Because it's very bad. And occasionally you get people who are, I'm going to big air quotes this, good slave owners
Yeah, no, I was reading some Florida textbooks. You know that they gave them great skills so that they could succeed later in life?
Oh, yeah, like what skills, Hassan? Like what? What skills, buddy? What did Ron DeSantis say they had skills
Farming?
in? Okay, yeah. He also watched Vinland Saga.
Oh, okay, great.
Anyway, yeah. So slavery was a big thing back then. Along with rape. I'm sure you've seen the warning I've put up in this episode because we're going to be discussing some of this stuff. So yeah, Askeladd's mother died while she was a slave. He then was also a slave because he's stuff. He managed to impress the lord who he was under, and became a soldier, and moved on from there. Won his freedom, left, became a mercenary, all that stuff. I do need to point out though that Askeladd is not actually Askeladd's real name. He does go by a different name. And it's this may be like the most like a little bit of a bullshitty thing, but I kind of like it because like I'm a big fan of again this kind of stuff, and so his actual name is Lucius Artorius Castus.
Not a very Welsh name.
No, it's not. It's very Roman, isn't it?
Yeah, which, not completely inaccurate, but would be a little odd, I feel like, for, you said, like, 1100s?
Yeah, well, it's 1013.
Or 1013,
yeah.
That, I could be wrong, but I just feel like you didn't hear those kinds of names coming out of the United Kingdom at that time.
No, you're right. So, essentially at this point, this is when the Roman names were starting to become anglicized, because we had the Anglo-Saxons, the Saxons and the Angles coming together, and basically those are the main groups on the English Isles. And at this point, you also have more like Norse names coming in as well, along with Scottish names, and it's all kind of blend together. But the Roman names were still around because the Romans had heavily gotten their empire all the way up to England, and the Romans had heavily colonized the English area. So you do get a lot of these names still, but like they're sparse. Like if you have a Romanish name, that's super rare in this time frame, and even more rare now. So yeah, there's, like I said, his real name is Lucius Artorius Castus. Yeah, so he's Welsh, and he parleys with the Welsh leaders and that kind of stuff. And the entire time they're running through Wales, Thorkill is like a week behind them with his own crew and ships and like actual forces coming up alongside. Like they're very close. Yeah, it starts becoming kind of a great test of like are they gonna meet when's gonna happen. There's a very brief rebellion within Askeladd's camp because he keeps making choices that are not very Viking. And when the Vikings learn that their Viking leader is Welsh, they don't like that. Because
are the things he does they're not Viking, like brushing his teeth or something?
Well, Vikings actually did do some shit like that. There was they had woolen on the stick kind of thing. All right.
Yeah, that's impressive for that era.
Yeah,
considering,
it was common.
People are like, brushing your teeth, you'll get the worms in them.
No.
What are you talking about?
No, some people actually did brush their teeth across
so
like all of
that's
Europe.
how Satan has sex with you. And you're like, okay, well, enjoy smelling.
No, well, I mean, the darker Middle Ages, they had soap. They just didn't use it as much because it was expensive, so there's that. And then, of course, the rumors that the church was against it because the church. But I will point out that there were also a lot of dissenters of the church back then as well. So a lot of people were like, no, that's stupid. Soap makes me clean. I like this. There's a reason why some people survived the Black Plague. Through soap.
Because they didn't have... They were the ones who were smart enough not to take the government's vaccines, is why.
No. No, that's not. They did. Well, vaccines weren't a thing back then.
Okay, let me tell you about the Queen of Canada. She can inform you on all of this stuff.
No, we're not doing this. Anyway, there's a very small rebellion that happens within Askeladd's camp, and it's like Askeladd, Thorfinn, and Bjorn still protecting Canute because they want to just give Canute over to Thorkill. And Askeladd's like, if you give him up to Thorkill, they're just going to murder all of you because they don't want to do anything with you. Like, we got to keep going. And then, like, during this rebellion, Thorkill catches up and notices, like, oh shit, they're rebelling against Askeladd? And like, okay. Oh fuck, there goes Canute with Thorfinn and stuff. Oh man, okay, shit. So, Bjorn and a few other, like, followers take Canute and just flee. And then, like, the rebellion sends their own people off, chases them down. And then this is where, like, the hypest fight happens because, like, well, two of the hypest fights happen in the show because Askeladd fights the entirety of, like, his, like, 45 man band, and just, like, he's wounded and still, like, just, like, hacking off limbs and, like, kicking their asses. They're just like, oh shit, why can't we touch this guy? And Thorkill's like, nah, I'm gonna go in. So he brings his band, and they just start, like, wrecking house, like pushing the rebellion aside. And then Thorfinn comes back after, like, Canute's like, sled crashes and all this stuff, and just like, okay, fuck this. He has to go kill Askeladd. His whole thing is like, I gotta kill Askeladd. If Askeladd's gonna get killed by, like, a bunch of his own men, I'm gonna lose my chance to kill him myself, and then I will be disgraced as a Viking. Because Viking blood, man. Because my dad was a Viking, and I need to honor the Viking pact he had. Ooh. So.
I'm sitting here going like, man, there's so many losers if they're watching this and just be like, yeah, we should act more like the Vikings today. They're my ancestors.
I'm sure there are, but if they keep watching the show, chuds. There are plenty of chuds out there, it's true. But if they keep watching the show, they'll quickly learn otherwise. So here's what happens. Thorfinn and Thorkill fight each other to a standstill once again. It's 3 episodes of one fight. It's fucking awesome shit. There's at one point where Thorkill just gets fed up and hurls Thorfinn through the air like 100 feet and into a tree, and he almost dies. He, like, breaks his leg on the way down in his arm, and, like, Thorkill's just, like, caught up everywhere. He's like, oh god, he's so they're both so tired, and, like, Thorkill makes his way to the tree, and he cuts a log and puts it down. He's like, I'm just gonna sit here for a little bit. let's hold on. Like, why are we so angry at each other? Like, he sits down to talk to Thorfinn, and Thorfinn, like they just have a little bit of a discussion, and Askeladd shows up too, and they're all kind of talking back and forth, and, like, they realize, like, oh, wait a second. We have a lot in common. We should be, like, buddies. Oh! So Thorkill actually joins up with Askeladd to then take Canute to Swain, help him out. And then this is when Canute kind of, like, Canute the entire time has been kind of in a daze. He's a prince. He's a very foppish prince at the time. Like, very reserved, quiet, loves reading. Not what a Viking would really normally be at this time, especially a Viking leader. So, by the time we get to this point, Canute is realizing, like, his inaction is getting everybody killed. So he shows up to this meeting between Thorkill, Askeladd, and Thorfinn, all kind of discussing their various pasts, and he also, like, plumps down. He's like, okay, this has got to stop. Like, here's the thing. We need to kind of band up. You can all be part of my own entourage. I'll give you all, like, full pass, that kind of thing. I'm like, well, we'll do you one better. What if we just joined your army? Like, you deserve an army too, Prince. We could be your retainers. We could be powerful together. So they do. And then eventually they get back to Denmark. And Thorfinn he's really itching for that fight between him and Askeladd. And he's like, any day now I'm going to fight Askeladd because I've done so much for him. And he keeps asking Askeladd for like a trial by combat kind of thing, for another chance to like take him down honorably. And Askeladd usually gives in a little bit and like fights him a little bit and like whacks him away. He's like, fuck off, kid, kind of thing. But this one time he's like, no, we're not fighting anymore. We're done.
Kissing.
We're kissing now. Kiss fight. So instead, he's like, no, we're done. We have more important things to do here. If you can't see that, you need to just leave. Like, let it go or kill me. I don't care anymore. Like, but I will defend myself. So fuck off. So to this point, that Thorfinn kind of like tries to simmer himself down. He goes off into the city in Denmark proper. And there's a point where they're finally meeting up with King Sweyn and all of his retainers and like his dukes and lords and all that stuff show up. And the word has gotten out that Askeladd is Welsh. Sweyn does not like that. So...
Wow, racist.
Yeah, actually. So at this point we realize that Askeladd has had... Well, they didn't really realize that. Askeladd tells Thorfinn he's had a chip on his shoulder for Vikings and the Norse for a long time. Long time. He wants all of them dead. That's why he likes... That's why a lot of his plans fall through and gets a lot of people killed and lets him run away victorious. Even his own crew, he can't stand a single one of them. So finally, at this meeting, as King Sweyn is berating him for being Welsh, he gets up and cuts his fucking head off. He beheads the king in front of everybody. Now, this is a historical thing. King Sweyn died during this meeting, this big meeting of everybody, and nobody can really recollect how or what happened or why. But this is just
something embarrassing, like pooped himself to death.
It probably was that. He probably died of dysentery. Yeah. So it's then revealed that again, Askeladd is Lucius Artorius Castus. Like I said, now I need to point out there's one name that you should actually kind of like latch on to there, Hassan. Do you know which name it is in the three names I gave you? Lucius Artorius Castus?
I mean, I know Artorius as like a important name.
Do you know why it's important?
It's been a while. I forget, honestly.
Artorius is the Romanized name from the Anglo-Saxon name Arthur.
Wait, are they going to try and tie us into King Arthur?
Yes.
What? That doesn't make sense.
So King Arthur,
That's stupid.
So King Arthur is reportedly a real king for the most part. Wasn't magical and all that shit, whatever. Myths, legends, etc. But King Arthur was Welsh. That's why King Arthur was
he got a magical sword from... Well, he got two magical swords. One from a lady in the water.
Yeah.
And then the other one out of the stone.
Yeah, well, okay. The lady gave him the scabbard, actually. The scabbard was the actual magical thing. The sword and the stone was just a prophecy that Merlin told.
It's not a good way to choose your system of governance.
It's not, but he's a king, so it doesn't. There's no real, divine right and all that. Anyway, point is, King Arthur was Welsh, hence why he's named Arthur of the Pendragon, the Welsh flag, and Askeladd is actually his descendant. So at this point, Askeladd has taken his own revenge against the Vikings and killed their king in front of them and said, fuck you, this is the last ride of, King Arthur, essentially. I name myself king, fuck you, here we go. And at this point, Thorfinn is trying to claw his way into the meeting room so he can kill Askeladd himself, because this is his last chance. He knows it's his last chance. And he gets in just as he sees Askeladd fucking cut down. And he loses his revenge chance.
Yeah. Can he still turn him into necropants, though?
Sure. But he doesn't do that, obviously.
What? This is historically inaccurate.
No, it's not.
He's Icelandic. Of course he's going to make him into necropants.
Sure. So but it's in the warmer colonies. It doesn't matter. So he, like I said, he crawls through, watches Tesla get cut down and murdered, and he watches his revenge fall away. He could not get revenge.
Sucks to be him. I don't.
Yeah.
I mean,
sucks to suck, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, cut 5 years later. Thorfinn.
Okay, Shippuden, got it.
Shippuden, yeah.
Vinland Saga, Shippuden.
Yeah. Shippuden style. Like,
Shonen?
time cut. Shonen style time cut 5 years later. So, we go with a new character now, Einar. We're going to come back to Thorfinn in a little bit. Einar is a farmer. He is a Norse Anglo farmer. So he's both from England with Norse blood. Now, season 2 is where this show gets actually truly amazing. Because season 1's really good and it got me like really ready to watch season 2. But season 2, even though like everybody's like, it's just Harvest Moon, the anime. Because it is. But this is where it gets really, truly good. So, season 2 is actually a powerful take on PTSD, depression, turning nothing into something, and what it means to be a fucking man. There's a lot of shit happening in season 2, and it starts off with a poem, which is why I had to mention that I'm a poetry major. And this poem is called, it's simply just referred to as the Carve poem. I don't think it necessarily has a name, which is par for the course for Icelandic poems back at this time and age. Now, do you want to hear the Icelandic version that I can kind of pronounce, or just the English version?
Nope, definitely not.
Okay, you don't want to hear it. All right, cool.
It'll be meaningless to me. It'll just sound like gibberish.
That's true. Well, here's the English version. So it's carve it. Carve it into your body. Carve it into the ground. Carve it into the ocean. Carve it into your enemies. Carve it into your victims. Carve. Carve. Carve that warmth into me. That's the poem.
Wait, that's what you're supposed to do after a poem, right?
In speakeasies, yes. So more historical context. In the 20s, they banned clapping in speakeasies because that's a loud sound. Versus, yeah, that's why that came about. Anyway,
Go on.
We get this poem right away, and it's giving you scenes of like slaves, a blacksmith, war, bloody ground, all this shit. Like, it's like, okay, this poem is about war. So we start off with Einar. Like I said, he's a slave. He has just lost his family. His sister and mother are dead when his village was raided, and he's currently bought by Ketil, who is a Norseman from Denmark, he started a farm some years ago and is doing really well for himself. He's a lord. He's a landowner, all this stuff. Ketil has also previously bought Thorfinn, who had been turned into a slave because he went wild and they couldn't control him, so they beat his ass, put him in prison, and sold his ass to somebody else to deal with him. He also went catatonic. Yeah. He also went catatonic at that point. So, because he lost his honor and his chance to get his revenge, he has nothing now. He feels useless. He's not able to do anything. He has seen so much blood and death and decay, and he just can't do it anymore. And again, he's like 20 now, if not like maybe 18. So
he's old.
He's old. So Einar shows up, and Ketil buys him again. Good slave owner. Tells him, hey, till this land, turn this plot of land next to this river into a wheat farm, and in 3 years, when you're able to produce wheat, 100%, you're free. You can go off if you want to, or you can keep working the farm, and as long as you give me a little bit of a tithing, a little bit of tax from it, like do what you want with the wheat, sell it, whatever. You're free at that point. You can still live here if you like to. All good, man. And like this is like the best deal a slave can be even offered at this point. Besides someone just going, "I bought you. You're free. Go, man, go," which didn't necessarily happen because if you're buying slaves, you want something from that slave, obviously. So we meet a few other cast members here. We meet Sverkel, who is Ketil's father, who is old. He's very old. He used to run this farm. He ain't looking good anymore. He's probably in his like 60s, so like really old for this time. We also meet another slave, Arnheid, who she's the mistress of Ketil and a slave. So, you know. We also get Snake and his little band of friends, which is like Fox and Badger are their other names. His band of mercenaries all have animal names. That's going to be relevant in a second. And then there's Pater, who used to be a slave, who proves that, like, yes, no, if you go with Ketil's, proposed thing, he will release you, free you, and you can keep working if you want to and live your life normally, not a slave. So it is a good deal in this day and age. So we get a lot of this stuff. We also get also other characters. Olmar, which is Ketil's youngest son, and we don't get him just yet, but Thorgil, who is Ketil's oldest son. Thorgil is a soldier. He's off fighting wars. He's a Viking proper. Olmar is a Viking wannabe. He's like probably Thorfinn's age, and he has a sword, but he is just some punk, like some little piece of shit that doesn't know what he's doing.
He's in his 20s. He should have like a 6-year-old child by this point at the very least.
No, never even married, so yeah. Anyway, so the slaves are treated poorly. There's a point where to try and like get Olmar, like pop Olmar's like killing cherry, they grab Etil and Thorfinn, and they're like, "Hey, just kill one of these slaves. They're slaves. Who cares?" And Olmar can't do it. He cuts Thorfinn's ear, like basically off, but like he's like, I can't do it. And then the Snake and his band are like, "Whatever, dude, lame. Let them go. I guess they're Ketil's property anyway, so bleh, slaves." So this goes on. A lot of this show is based around like the trials and tribulations of being a farmer and what it means to try and take a piece of land that has trees on it, tear those trees out by hand. They have to actually like do favors for Sverkel, who gives them a horse so they can actually tear the trees out properly. Because otherwise, yes, they were chopping the trees down and then trying to rip the stumps out by hand. Which I don't know if you understand how much of an impossible endeavor that is for 2 people, let alone 2 people and a horse.
Why, yeah, that's why I'm not a farmer.
Yeah, true. Anyway, so they're doing this. They finally get their horse, tearing the land up, farming proper. The episodes where they're farming and the shows them trying to like turn this piece of crappy land next to a river into a wheat farm are just so good. Like they encounter bullies, they encounter problems with the land, and they have to like discuss these issues and sit down and think about this, and it's good, almost cozy TV except for the bullying part. It's like, okay, weird. And again, the slavery part, there's a whole thing there. Later on, though, Ketil takes his band of his son to meet up with Thorgil in Denmark, where King Canute is now. at. And so one little thing about King Canute is at some point, King Canute is very notable for essentially piecing together all of the UK into one big happy family, essentially.
Oh yeah, no, the UK is definitely a happy family.
Back in the time, back in 1020, whatever it was.
It's definitely never been a happy family nation.
No, I know, it's not. But at some point, like there was more unity at this point because, his band of Vikings got out there, went so far north, and then went like, okay, pull them all back. Okay, see what we did? Yes, we're not sorry about that. We're not going to do it again unless you provoke us. So, I'm your king now. Just chill. We're all going to work together. That's Canute. So he kind of like, Iron Hand, pulled the Iron Hand back, and was like, not going to happen again unless you provoke me. All right, we're good. And then he starts having visions of his father's head in his hands, telling him, "You're not a king. You're not a fucking king. You're not even a man, Canute. What you need to do is take England by force and show them, break them."
Yeah, you've probably been like drinking out of a lead cup or something.
Oh, absolutely.
And, this is like you're suffering a medical malady that is making you think these things and see it.
Yeah, or it's also possibly a metaphor, but it's that too. It's okay. If you were rich and you could afford a metallic drinking cup, yes, it's probably made of lead because it was so prevalent and available. So yeah, probably the lead cup. So he probably was lead poisoned. That's neither here nor there. During this whole thing, though, so Ketil gets to Denmark to meet with King Canute, who's like, he gives him a tithing. And they're like, thanks for the gift. I'm kind of thinking about expanding further into England. And Ketil, your farm is like prime territory, man. Like, I think that like we should like sit down and kind of hash this out. And like, I can scratch your back. You send some stuff back to Denmark. I kind of want to expand a little bit. And Ketil's like, okay, I'll think about this. So Olmar meets up with his brother Thorgel. And Thorgel berates him for not being a man. And then some of Canute's men start berating Olmar for being a shitty Viking. And Olmar is a hothead. And he gets into a fight with them. And just whips his sword out and stabs one of them in the heart. Kills him instantly. Just done. Dead. And Thorgel has to step in and kill the rest of the men. Because Thorgel's really good at what he does. Thorgel's a very good Viking. He's a very good soldier, and he's very good at killing. Now, however, Canute gets wind of this, and this was also part of Canute's plan, is to spark this controversy. And now Ketil and his family need to flee, and they have to go into hiding and get back to their farm ASAP, so they can warn the farm and get ready for war. Meanwhile, while this is happening, Arnheid, Sverkel falls ill because he's old, like I said, 60s or whatever. And Arnheid, Thorfinn, and Einar are trying to nurse him back to health because he's a good dude. Like he's a nice old man, and he's the one that gave Thorfinn and Einar the horse. And like just trying to do his best. He also likes tilling his own land and doing his own little farming thing. And he falls ill. He has no use of his legs anymore. And they have to nurse him back to health. And Snake is there reading him the Bible. All these things. And which is just hilarious. What's anything about the history of this. Anyway, yeah. So this happens. And then there's word that this other Viking who was a slave killed the entire family he was a part of and took off. And, Snake's band is a mercenary crew, so like they get hired to go and take this guy down. Turns out he's like a berserker barbarian Viking who was Arnheid's husband before they were taken after the village was raided and sent into slavery So this Garter guy, this is his name, Garter, kills parts of Snake's crew. Snake's very mad at him. He goes and gets Arnheid and tries to get her out of there, and he gets fucked up by Snake and his crew, and then captured. And it's this point that Arnheid, all she wants to do is just see him and tell him, she loves him and all this stuff, but she's also conflicted because she doesn't. I don't know if she actually really loves him, but they did have a life together, so that's something.
Yeah, I mean, marriage wasn't exactly by romance back then.
Yeah, they also had a kid together, although that she miscarried during the raid.
Normal for that time.
However, Garter thinks that she had the kid. So,
Good stuff. Go on.
Yeah. So Garter and Arnheid break out. They fuck off. But Garter has been stabbed viciously to death, basically. He's bleeding on his way. They stole a wagon and they're trying to flee the farm, and he's bleeding to death. And there's just this incredible long scene. It's the last half of this episode where this happens, where it's just him and Arnheid just talking about their life, and he goes into vision mode and he's meeting his son for the first time and all this shit. It's extremely sad. Holy crap. It's heavy stuff. And he dies, and Arnheid is captured and brought back to the farm. And when Ketil gets back from telling people, okay, there's a war happening, Arnheid tried to escape, and he flies into a rage. Now, Ketil is known as Iron Hand Ketil, which is actually a bit of a joke. He's a big pushover, but he's supposedly this really powerful Viking, and he's a man who has kind of that ambition that he's a very ambitious kind of guy, and he's very rageful and wrathful. So he flies into this rage and beats Arnheid within an inch of her life, just leaves her for dead in the barn, and does other things. I don't want to discuss them, but leaves, and then Einar and Thorfinn we just finished the wheat farm. It's ready to go. We can just once we cut the wheat, and we can sell that to Ketil and win our freedom. Oh God, we're gonna free Arnheid, aren't we? Yeah, we are. Okay, great. So they try and then free Arnheid. In the middle of this, she dies, peacefully, sort of, but it's peaceful, but at the same time she has these last words of kind of there's nothing for me in this world, so I'm cool with dying, and you got to be okay with that. It's, dude, fuck. And I'm skipping through a lot of stuff about what happened up to this point, but yeah, there's some shit, and at this point, Thorfinn has been dealing with his PTSD in as much of a constructive way as possible. He's been having these dreams, these nightmares, where he's surrounded by the armies of dead of people he has killed, and Askeladd is there, taunting him, berating him for not being man enough to kill him, and then he's also having dreams of his father in Vinland, and his father is kind of telling him all the things you did to try and get revenge. No, that was wrong. That's not who I was. Because at one point, I was a Viking. But I stopped doing that because that life is terrible. And I don't want to kill any people anymore. So I went off, lived in Iceland in isolation, and lived with your mother and all this stuff. And I loved my life there. That was true happiness. That was warrior shit.
And the necropants.
He also loves his necropants.
Okay, great.
Yeah. So at this point, like Thorfinn's kind of like he snaps out of his like I gotta be a soldier mentality kind of thing, and realizes, oh fuck it all. Oh yeah, okay, I get it now. And so like Knut's here, like actually in this area during the war. This war goes down. It's horrible. Ketil's forces get slaughtered because like Knut brought the Jomsvikings, who again Thor's used to be a part of. They were like the elite, and just cuts them all down. And Olmar takes over as leader because like his father dies in the combat. So Olmar's like, well, I guess it's me now because Thorgil can't be trusted, so fuck him. And they're like, well, what do we do, Olmar? You're the owner of the property now. You're the lord. And he's like, should we fight? And Thorgil's like, we should fight them. We have the advantage. Like, we don't have the advantage. And it's like Olmar's like, we're going to surrender. He like drops his sword. He's like, we're done here. Like it's the scene where like this punk ass kid causes so much shit and realizes what he's done, and finally gets in the seat of power and has the opportunity to become a Viking. And he just like, no, fuck this, no more death. We're done. We're surrendering. It's just so good, but it keeps getting better. These like final episodes are like mind blowing. So Thorfinn goes to try and talk to King Canute. Einar's tagging along with him, and he just wants to talk because like Thorfinn used to hang out with King Canute when he was a prince. He was part of the entourage. You know, he can convince him, he thinks. So he gets there and he's stopped by all of Canute's forces. And, like this puny little guy, because Thorfinn's a small dude. Like for a Viking, he's like tiny. Like this puny little guy, you want to talk to King Canute? Like, oh, look at the way he's dressed. He's a slave. A slave wants to talk to the king. That's stupid. That's crazy. So they start swatting at him and beating him up a little bit. And then one guy, like kind of like one of their like leaders, walks in and says, "Okay, here's the plan. Here's the thing. If you can survive 100 of my punches to the face, I'll let you go talk to the king."
Okay, well, there's definitely.
Excuse me.
You take 100 punches to the face, you're not gonna be conscious.
No. So here's the thing. No, for anybody else, yes, but for Thorfinn, whose whole thing was rolling with the punches for so long, literally and figuratively, he does it. Like he's like, okay, let's do it. So he basically when the hit happens, he just rolls with it and lets it glance off each time. Boom, 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 boom. Like, yeah, he's suffering some wounds. Like, he has a black eye. Like, his nose is bloody. At one point, the guy actually lands a solid one on him, but he stands back up. He's like, okay, let's keep going. That was like hit number 30. And dude's like, oh man, I'm so tired. Each one of these punches, he's giving him his all, right? He's putting his whole weight into the thrust of the punch. So, like, by punch 100, he's just like, eh. And then Thorfinn's like, all right, thanks, man. I'm going to go see the king now. And then at this point, though, like at this point, we get kind of a revelatory thing because someone recognizes Thorfinn. He's like, hold on a second. Aren't you Thorfinn? Like the guy that used to run with Canute? And Canute threw you in jail? Like, aren't we... We're enemies.
I shouldn't let you near the king then.
We shouldn't let you near the king. Like
End of story.
Yeah, sure. Like we're enemies. And Thorfinn turns around and he says the best thing in anything I've ever seen. He turns around and says 4 words.
Mana. Do.
No. Turns around and says 4 words. And those 4 words are, I have no enemies. And he walks into the camp.
As good as Mana.
So he goes to Canute, and at this point he's beaten up like crazy. He doesn't look quite like Thorfinn that Canute would recognize. But the way when they start talking, Canute is like, okay, this is probably Thorfinn. Okay, yeah, this is where he ended up. Crazy that. And then Canute's like, look, man, I have ambitions. I'm going to take England. Like at this point, I was going to do it peacefully, but now I want to just wreck shit. I want to wreak havoc. I want to go across all of England, go to Iceland even, and Norway, and just burn it all down. This is where I'm at. I'm going to take all of it and say fuck it to everybody. Because my dead dad was going to do that. And you can't do anything to stop me. And he's just kind of like, well, what, like, so Thorfinn, I know you used to be this amazing elite soldier. What will you do if I start doing this? What are you going to do? And Thorfinn's like, simple. If you start doing that, I will run. And Knut's like, what the fuck?
I mean, yeah, what's one guy going to do? Beat an entire army? I don't think so.
No, he said the exact opposite. He's like, I will run away.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He's doing the smart thing.
But no, Thorfinn had that fire in him where he could probably take out a lot of guys and kill the king. Like, Thorfinn is standing on his 2 feet right now. And, like, he is so good that he could probably get past everybody in the king's entourage and kill him if he really wanted to. Like, that's how good Thorfinn is at what he does. Again, he's a little Wolverine. And Knut knows this, and he tells him, this guy that Knut knows is this vicious little motherfucker that will kill everybody in his path. Just says, I don't want to do it anymore. If you try and provoke me, I'm running away. And Knut's like, what the fuck? What do you mean you're going to run away? God damn it. And so it sticks with him so hard, he's like, okay, fuck it. What are we even doing here? He sucks the fun out of Knut's like rampage so bad, he turns around and goes like, yeah, rule your country yourselves. I'll be their king in, like, over here. And like, yeah, we'll leave you guys alone. Fuck it. And just takes off. And then at this point, like this is the thing. We're now in full pacifist run mode. Like we're done with the war. And Olmar grants Einar and Thorfinn their freedom. And we get this final version of the poem. And I just want to reiterate. So yeah, again, carve it into the body, carve it into the ground, carve it into the ocean, carve it into your enemies, carve it into your victims, carve that warmth into me. And when this replays, like 23 episodes later, it's accompanied by them farming and chopping trees and teaching philosophy and all these things. It's about, like, the poem could be... This is the brilliant thing about this poem. There are so many good things with this poem, because it is both it's a skaldic Icelandic poem, first off, but it is also... A motorcycle going by my house. It is also a poem that is about basically trying to take both sides of what it means to carve something. Because you could take that as a very violent action. But carving doesn't necessarily mean that, because you could easily carve a tree. You could carve the ground to plant something, plant seeds. All this stuff. It's the duality of the poem is beautiful, and you don't really get that until you see this latest episode, where they go like, no, this is what we mean. Yeah, it means this too. But there are two paths here. There's a very, distraught warrior path, and there's the more civil, probably better warrior path. Because soldiers are people too, and eventually they stop being soldiers. You can only fight for so long. That's what it means, because like all the people that are there and working in the fields, at some point were soldiers. And now they're not.
Okay, but what about your necropants?
They're currently on. They're very sweaty. It's warm in here.
Okay, great. Perfect. Well, we should probably start wrapping up, but any last things that you wanted to go over or say about it?
So, I would say that if you like history, if you like medieval history, this is great. If you like if you like interesting takes on life, this is great for that too. This feels like the correct way to do a Game of Thrones-esque show, because like there's a point where, you know, the way the show is, anybody could die in a sense, because this is the medieval ages, especially in the Dark Ages of that time period, where like shit just happens sometimes, and that does happen in the show. There are characters that show up for like 5 episodes and then just get taken out because, like, you know, they stepped in the wrong place, or like they're in a fight and it goes wrong for them. Oh, I didn't point out one thing. Snake. There's a beautiful thing that I ended up having to research because I thought this was the case, because, like, again, him and his band all have animal names. That is not a common thing. Like, nobody named their kid Snake back in the day. So I'll just say that you may want to look up, you know, the Folly at Constantinople, as well as Crusader Knights back in the day, and you know, just see what they get up to, because Snake is also wielding a tulwar, which is an interesting weapon for a Englishman to have. Yeah, a lot of fun historical things to look up in the show as well. But yeah, that's all I have to say about Vinland Saga. I think that everybody should check this out, especially if this is a show that sounds like it's for you. Like I said, this has a lot of like connotations towards what it means to be a good person, what it means to be a soldier. This is an anti-toxic masculinity show. It's teaching something.
You didn't say it's woke. Well, now I'm not going to watch it.
God damn it.
You didn't tell me it was from the woke Dark Ages.
Oh, yeah. It has the woke mind virus, yeah.
Yeah.
God damn it. Fucking.
All right. Well, why don't you tell people where to find us?
You should go to our Twitter, which is at EIFNAR. Eifnir kind of sounds like a Norse name. Oh, my God. It's been 10 years. I've just realized that. No, it's not true. Yeah, we already. Yeah. Anyway, go there, listen, basically give us your love and support, and tell us how much we are into the woke mind virus. It's a lot.
Bud Light right now.
Bud Light? No, God, no. Who drinks Bud Light anymore? It's all about LaCroix. Or LaCroix, as Americans call it.
Probably also woke, I don't know.
By the way, it's LaCroix, people, come on. It's French. Anyway, go to our Spotify, iTunes pages. Go listen to our show. Go to YouTube. Look at our beautiful faces. Look at us talking at you. You, listener, we're talking at you. Yeah. Enjoy the show. Go there and then like share our show. Do the things that you know, get us fame and fortune. Because I don't want to like go raid a village for it again. You know, I lost so many men that way.
Too lazy to do raiding, I'm going to be honest.
What? Come on, Hassan.
It's a lot of work.
What kind of Viking are you?
I'm not.
Oh. You're not?
No.
Oh. But I thought you were English.
Yeah, but I'm English Arab, so you know.
Oh, okay. Well...
more a Crusades thing.
Oh, you're in a Crusader? Okay, cool. So
yeah.
We're going to go to Persia, and we're going to smash the walls down in the name of the Lord and kill everybody there. However, it's going to go horribly for us because they're going to use these things called cauldrons filled with fucking oil and burn us all to death. And then we go like, ugh, you know what? I'm not into this. And then hightail it out of there.
Then we do it 2 more times.
Do it 2 more times. Same thing happens each time. And basically it's the Vietnam of the Dark Ages. I'm not wrong. That is what it is.
First time anyone said that phrase. Anyways, keep going on.
You should also go to friends of DJDane.com. That's God Does Our Music, DJDane.com. Go listen to his sweet tunes. And I don't know, maybe convince him to be a Viking. I think that a DJ Viking it's got legs.
I don't think it's going to work out.
I think that's too...
I don't think Vikings have electricity.
I think it's too negative, Hassan.
Okay, well,
I think you need more of that
Randy
positive
Can go try it.
fucking
I think he's gonna find it very difficult.
You need more of that positive fucking spirit, I gotta say.
Pretty sure, they just didn't have electricity on longboats.
Well, sure, but like, you can still scratch records. You may not be able to hear it, but like,
He can try.
still do it. Anyway, that's it for our show. Tune in next time for another edifically episode of Everything is Finally Ruined. See ya.
See ya.
Say it.